Airwolf, Knight Rider, the $6 million Man, and the A-Team, all to be rebooted, but all to exist in the same universe and cross over with each other constantly. Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So first of all, I'm going to explain this idea, and then I'm going to tell you where it's come from and how likely I think it is that it's actually going to happen. But apparently this has been pitched at Universal for the Peacock network. The plan is to reboot the A-Team. It would be a hard reboot, a new team, obviously. They're not going to bring back those actors. Several of them are dead. They're going to reboot the Knight Rider. They're going to reboot the $6 billion Man, but we'll come back to that in a second because that's going to be a little bit separate to the rest of it. And they're going to reboot Airwolf. Now, I've told you that they're going to reboot Airwolf already. This idea has been knocking around for months, but it's grown. So the idea is that we'll have these three TV shows. It would actually be A-Team, Airwolf, and Knight Rider. That, as I say, those three series will then exist within the same universe. They will cross over with each other, i.e., the overarching storyline, and there'll be one big storyline that these three series will run along, will actually influence each other, and that actually they'll have crossovers, i.e. Knight Rider will appear in A-Team, the A-Team appear in Knight Rider, they'll all appear in Airwolf, etc., etc. The idea being it would be like what Marvel have done with the comic books, but Universal are going to do it with these 1990s action kids shows. The $6 billion Man, now the idea with that is a little bit different, as in the $6 billion Man, $1 million Man, will exist within this universe, but he won't actually have his own series. The problem is that Mark Wahlberg is still planning and still trying to get off the ground a movie of the $6 billion Man. And it was brought up basically during the pitch meetings that they didn't want to push forward with a series of the $6 billion Man because they were worried it would basically step on the toes of the movie, confuse audiences, blah, blah, blah. So apparently executives in the pitch meeting said, why don't you just have the character bouncing between the three? And the small executive team that had come up with this idea of this reboot agreed, and that is now the plan that they are discussing between themselves at Universal and NBC. So I am actually told that this is an idea that has come from a small group of executives at NBC Studios. These are quite lower executives that have come up with this idea themselves. Apparently this team works on sort of future development ideas. So how do I think this will work? I really don't know. The source that's told me about this, and I think they're bang on, has basically said that in their sort of team, because he doesn't actually work for NBC, so he works for quite a large talent agency, and they were talking about this idea because it's basically come to them to sort of say, like, well, what sort of do you think any directors, any writers or something would be interested in this? So they were sort of like talking about it, and he said their idea was this is either absolutely genius or completely moronic, and they really can't quite decide which way to go with it. Picard season 3, I think, is really the big thing that has made studios realize that actually if you do a revival, and nostalgia does very well with the audiences if it's done properly. I think even revivals of things like Criminal Minds has shown that actually if it's done well and done right, people are very, very keen on it. But things like the A-Team movie reboot didn't do as well as hoped, and attempts to revive Knight Rider have gone very badly a few times. So it has to be done carefully. So the executives seem to have come at this with the idea of, well, let's go big or let's go home. And by going big, they mean let's create an entire franchise. Franchise is a big word in studios at the moment. Actually, HBO and almost all of the top executives at all of the big streaming services, that's all they talk about, franchises. The idea being, though, that actually they could have massive crossover events straight to Peacock TV movies, potentially, etc., etc. And they could really build something big around iconic characters. I actually think if they do this right, it could be genius. And I mean properly genius. An audience of people my age, 40 somethings, will watch this. They would watch a Bionic Man movie, TV movie potentially. They will watch the Bionic Man in an episode of the A-Team. They will watch Airwolf flying over Knight Rider. Basically, isn't it kind of all of our dreams rolled into one? I think it might be a little bit for me. I actually am quite excited by this idea if they do it properly. But do I actually think it will happen? Well, you'll know from a couple of days ago, I did a video about Blue Thunder reboot, and I'm afraid this is going to come under a similar category as this idea. At the moment, executives in studios are sitting around with very little to do. They have kind of gone through all of their existing projects, and a lot have already been cancelled. But now studio bosses are saying, what are we going to do new? When we come back from these strikes, we have to announce something to excite people. The studio's reputation is not great right now. So let's announce something really exciting to get people really interested again. And hopefully, maybe they'll forget how badly we've treated the actors and the writers in the last 6 months. There's an element of that, but there's also an element of they've just got nothing better to do. So they're sat round thinking up ideas and pitching those ideas. Now, the Blue Thunder and this whole 1980s nostalgia revival Knight Rider A-Team, Bionic Man and Airwolf plan might basically be just that. Because I'm also told that in another studio, some idiot actually pitched a Snakes on the Plane series for Netflix. Now, Snakes on the Plane, I thought, Samuel Jackson, was actually a brilliant film. But that film basically got made because the chief of that studio basically went, what's the stupidest title we've got in the, that we own right now? And somebody went, we've got this film called Snakes on a Plane. And he went, sold. And that's how it got made. It got made because it sounded stupid. A streaming series based on it for Netflix, that's a stupid idea for me. But those are the sort of ideas that are being bounced around at the moment. So let's see if any of the ideas come to fruition. Because actually, even though I don't want to see a Snakes on the Plane streaming series, I do want to see the A-Team. I do want to see Knight Rider. And I kind of want to see Airwolf get revived. And if we get a reboot of those and they actually then exist in the same universe and they cross over with each other, done well, I actually think that's quite exciting. But what do you think? Get to the comments and tell me, are these 3 series that you would love to see existing within the same universe? Are these characters and stories that we want back? Is the Bionic Man then maybe appearing across these a good idea as well, considering that there is potentially a Mark Wahlberg movie coming? Or actually, do you want to see that series as well? So 4 series on Peacock all crossing over with each other. Get into the comments and tell me exactly what you'd love to see. But basically, and tell me, is this a good idea or is this moronic? Please get into the comments. Also, check the community page. When this video goes live, I will be putting a poll up, so tell me what you think. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps out. You'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek, where most of our new videos appear first, and you get to see them without any of the adverts for a small contribution each month that really supports the channel. You can also go to scitrek.co.uk, where we do articles based on most of our videos, and we try to add a little bit more opinion and information in there for you to digest. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.